The Strain Season 2, Episode 7, The Born. Now, I really enjoyed this episode because it gave us sort of, there was a lot of myth, legend, exaggeration talk throughout this episode, at least in some key points. And it really gave us this legend that was actually real in The Born. Like, we don't really know where he came from initially. He was just born of the Masters at some point, seemingly of the villain master in this episode, based on that line of dialogue. When the master's like, "Oh, I chose this body because of the loyalty that was shown beforehand," something you wouldn't know about, but that could have easily been tied to, just their species in general. Like, I don't know, but I would have to assume that it was of the master, and somehow his creation is both human and Strigoi, which I thought was very interesting. Like, he bleeds, basically white. I don't know if they have, like, the worms are in his body or anything. I would assume they are, but you don't technically know. And so he was born of a human that I would have to assume was ascended and was given the ability to do whatever they want, or a Strigoi that was ascended. And that person ended up with a human, and that's how he came to be. And so he basically immortal. He lives forever, but he does have the agility and the strength and this, everything that they have, he has. But he's not exactly weakened by the sun or anything like that, or at least not 100%. Because the scene where he like puts the mud on him, I was like, okay, that makes sense. But that was like his bald head and some of his back a little bit. His legs are exposed. It was like him in a Spartan fight. It's just sun straight down on 100% of you, pretty much, except for like the soles of your feet. It's just all sunlight. So he's not really affected by the sun. It might make him a bit weaker, and they did talk about it a little bit, where he's not exactly affected by the sun, but it seems like it has some sort of effect on him, at least a little bit. But I like that character. I like the introduction to his backstory of him, in Rome. That was his introduction, which I thought was really cool. Him in a, Spartan arena and stuff, and he kills the guy, and it's like, I don't want this personally, but it's your kind that actually wants this to happen. And he talks to basically the guy who was the ruler at the time. Like, he doesn't escape because he basically just observes humans and does this sort of research by being an instrument of humans and seeing how they want to use him, and that's how he learns about humans. And I thought that was really cool. And him and Setrakian, when they meet and they have that moment, when they actually run into the master, I love that moment, because after the explosion and he couldn't get to the master, he did exactly what Setrakian does, where it's like, this was the one chance I had, and it was ruined. And I love that. It's like they really are the same. It's not like they just, they're both good guys because they want to take out the master. But, Setrakian had his moment. When he found out the master was there, as soon as that happened, I'm like, he's losing it right now. And you could tell he was. And it was just like the scene before with the little bombs that they had that were made out of, like, strobe lights. It was the same thing. And, like, he wanted to run into this nest full of them. And it's like, we have to get the heck out of here, because you'll get ripped apart if you do any, one little mistake. They'll all wake up, or even, one wakes up. It's an issue that we have to deal with. So he had one of those moments again, and I enjoyed seeing it. I was like, as soon as, the Born told him, like, this is his nest, he started freaking out, like, we have to bring the whole building down around him. He's like, none of this other crap matters. We have to kill him now, so go set the bombs up. And the same thing happened to the Born after he missed, and it was like, I have one opportunity, like, you ruined my chance to take him down forever, and now this is my fight. So he kind of, takes off, but they have their moment. He had a really cool moment as well, when he was killing off, like, the feelers and stuff, and he's just, like, dodging and cutting. He split one, like, completely in half, which was probably my favorite one, because after he did that, they had it where the kid wore, like, a mocap bottom, so they had, like, fake organs and stuff, and it was like, holy crap, that's, a bit over the top for what they normally do. It's like, decapitation and that's it, but this was, like, actual guts and stuff, and he steps on the guts to keep it from crawling away, and then stabs it through the head, and then he pulls out, like, the two little Uzis, and he has, like, a cool Matrix-style scene where he's just, like, shooting them on the walls and stuff, and it was a nice little introduction. My second favorite was definitely the one where it tried to shoot its stinger at him, and he dodged, and he just yanked the stinger straight out of it. Like, he just grabbed it, and it just ripped out of its mouth, and it, yanked forward a bit, but he pulled the whole thing out and killed it. And I was like, that was actually really, really cool, because we saw that happen with Gus a while back, And this was like with all with the super strength, it's not like a struggle where he has to like rip it out slowly. It's just like boom, and he just yanked the whole thing out and just kept on moving. And I was like, that was actually a really cool move that he did. So I loved the little action scene with him. It was definitely as cool as I was hoping it would be. I hope we get some more of that, even whether it's against the Feelers or it's against regular adult Strigoi. It would be very cool to see that happen because it was just a nice little fight and see some more blade work go on and him maybe slice some arms off or some other random stuff. But it was definitely an exciting moment for his character. We also got, of course, the reintroduction, I guess, of Nikki, and that was interesting. I didn't expect her to actually come back into the series and it's like, oh, she's alive. And then, of course, it's like the stuff, Dutch is kind of like caught in the middle between these two people who, one was in a relationship and the other kind of is, sort of isn't. Once, our old girlfriend comes into play, it's just like, well, and like Dutch made, like, or, Fet made like the perfect face and it was just like, well, I'm out. Like, as soon as he saw them hug, he was just like, and he basically just put his arm right on the steps like, I'm done and I'm kicked out. And that's kind of how we felt through the whole episode. And then they had the ending where he was like excited, like, man, we ran into like this crazy super guy and we, ran into the master again. And all that stopped. It's like, oh, I forgot she was here. And then it just ruined it. And then he got mad a bit at F and stuff about, leaving for New York, which it's like he went to save everybody. But obviously he was mad about something else, and that's how they kind of played around with it. But I enjoyed that. It was cool seeing that happen. Just because it actually made a difference, because it's not like they killed her in this episode, or hopefully they don't kill her off soon just to like get Fet and Dutch back together. That would be weird. But she's gonna be there for quite some time, and she can't really move at this point because her leg is sprained, I believe. So it's not like she's really gonna be leaving out either. So there's really not even a chance for her to get killed off. So she's gonna be there to cause a little bit of tension between them for who knows how long. She probably will end up getting killed off just because it's this show. It's like, oh, here's some drama, and then here's some worse drama where she's actually, getting killed off, maybe even in front of them or something like that. So we'll see how that stuff plays out, but it was an interesting dynamic, add a member to the team, possibly permanently, maybe not, but like I said, we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. And then, of course, we have the stuff with F and his issue just going through this failure of saving all of New York and being, almost being assassinated, seeing his friend killed and this woman that he was with get killed right in front of him. He goes through all that. He knows it's Stoneheart. He knows it's Palmer. And by then, his decision is to kill Palmer. And I thought that's fairly interesting. And, Palmer himself gets a lot of development in this episode where he and Coco actually do end up together by the end. And it seemed like that's how they were doing it. I think it may have been the last episode or the one before it, where they were drinking and stuff, and I'm like, I don't know, it seems like it's headed that way, but it actually does happen in this episode. So, they're doing it now. Don't know what's going to come of that, because she's going to find out the truth. Like, she's believing his lies at this point, where it's like, oh, he was telling me that Goodweather actually went to New York and killed 3 people and stuff like that, and my bodyguard was just letting me know that this happened because it was a dear friend. But there's going to be something. He's going to get caught up in something. Someone else is going to come in and say something else. It might even be F. He might come in and say, like, here's proof of this. And then she's going to be like, holy crap, this guy is actually bad. And if that happens and she doesn't get killed off right after, she might go to the police and say, like, this is what's really happening. Which I don't know if that would really be good or bad, or if they really even believe her. But she can give them a bit more information. Like, they had the little bit of info about the about Palmer buying those different corporations or different locations and building stuff. So she might have a bit more inside information. Obviously not that much, because every time it's like, why don't you leave? Like, and then obviously the important stuff happens where she's not around. So not too much extra information, but maybe there's something that she could give them that'll help them out, like just even the tiniest bit of information. So they're going to be together a little bit closer than just boss and secretary, but that could easily fall apart in the next episode depending on what happens. Like, the preview definitely seemed to focus a lot on Kelly coming back in the next episode, so I'm not sure if that's going to be like her last episode where they do finally kill her off, but it seemed like that was a big focus. And even when they weren't talking about her or showing her, they were talking about it with F and Zach, and it's like, your mother is dead and she's been turned, and we have to like be careful and stuff like that. So it seems like that's going to be the main focus, and F might have to go up against Kelly before he's able to get to Palmer and stuff like that. So we'll see how it all plays out, but I definitely enjoyed this one. I actually didn't mind the love triangle aspect that they kind of put in here. Palmer having a death sentence on him now at the end with F after dealing with all that crap, and just everything that happened with Palmer and his relationship with his secretary. It seems pretty interesting, and of course we have the Bourne, who had a couple awesome, really awesome scenes in this. So excited for him to come back. Excited to see the team work with him a lot more, because only, of course, 2 people ran into him, but he's going to be around throughout, maybe not the rest of the series. He might end up getting killed off somehow. I'm not really sure how that would work, considering how awesome he seems to be right now. And especially since even, whether it's flashbacks or now, he's still confident enough that he can take on the Master. And it's like, that's why you ran before, and they, even at the flashback when you went to the old town with the castle, which looked really awesome, like in the snowfall and stuff. But, he kills them, and now, that was about fear, and he's like, and they also had the little thing where the Master mentions how he killed his wife. So, they really, really go far back as far as the hatred that they have, and it's also, once again, very similar to Setrakian, just, I'm sure, much, much, earlier. So, it's very interesting. I actually really enjoyed that. Excited to see that guy the Bourne come back in, and I don't know if it'll be when they find the Master again, or where he's even going to end up after this episode, but looking forward to that. More exploration. Hopefully we get Gus and, I think the Silver Angel coming back in the next episode. I think that would be pretty cool, and maybe him officially joining the team. Like, so far he's always been on his own, and he ends up in like the craziest situations, like him initially being with the other Masters in the team, and then they get killed off, which brings the Bourne in. But now he's with like the Silver Angel, and he's kind of talking with the girl at the restaurant. So I don't know what's gonna happen there, but I'm kind of curious. I'm really curious about his thing, where it's like he was involved with it, with his family, then he was really deep into it, then his partners died, and then he's like completely out of it almost, aside from, when they were in the apartment building. And it's like, I just don't know where his story is going, but it just keeps me curious, because he seems to have like almost the normal side of things, but obviously he's still dealing with the vampires and everything. So looking forward to that. It's something that happened when they showed the castle in the snowfall, and this was something I've been thinking about for the past couple episodes, is it makes me wonder how much they filmed during the winter, because obviously, they can't be filming 24/7 in the winter, because it's, New York City. It's going to be hot, and the snow melts. So I'm not sure how much longer the season is going to go on for, or how much they even have filmed, or how they did. I would assume they had to have filmed all during, the actual winter, compared to like most other shows where they can spread it out, throughout the year a little bit. But it's still winter, it's still going. They haven't even mentioned, like, oh, it's almost spring or anything like that. And I don't really remember the last time they showed a specific date, but we've definitely gone through, it had to have been weeks by now, because even between this season and the last, they had their new base completely set up by the time they finished, and I would assume that had to have taken, like, at least a week, if not more. Them putting all that stuff in there, them securing the entire block and everything, all of that was done basically, in the premiere. It was like, all right, we have this place, everything's set up, we're spreading out block by block from here, but they had already set up their actual base. So, I'm not sure how much time has really passed, but I'm curious to see if this will actually transition into some of the other seasons, or if it's going to be like the whole story takes place in winter, which would be cool, just because, you don't see too many shows actually take place in the wintertime. So I actually love it for that, because it's pretty cool. But this is a great episode. Excited to see, like I said, how much time has passed the next time we get like an actual indication of what the date is or stuff like that. Because they stopped doing that. I don't think they did it at all this season. I think they did it mostly last season. They'd say like, oh, it's this date. It's like, and it would be like the next day or stuff like that. Or even in flashbacks, they'd say what time it was and stuff. But now it's like, this is where they are. Time frame is whatever you think it is. So curious to see how far into the year the story is really going to stretch out. But definitely love this episode. Of course, want to know what you guys thought about it, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And of course, I have to ask what you guys thought about The Bourne and really his cool action scenes and like his official backstory and introduction, whether it's, myth, legend, or exaggeration. He's real and he existed, back then, and who knows what happened with him leaving and that's why Rome fell and all that stuff, but he was there, and he's still alive and he's looking for the master now. So it was pretty awesome to me, but I definitely want to know what you guys thought about it. So like I said, please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.